Hi, I'm Carl Brookins. Welcome again to our round table. I'm the author of Devil's Island, a sailing mystery set on Lake Superior. This program is number 26 in our series, Minnesota Crime Wave Presents. With me in the studio, as usual, are my co-hosts Ellen Hart, author of the excellent Jane Lawless mystery series set in Minneapolis, and William Kent Kruger, author of another fine series, the Cork O'Connor series, which is set in northern Minnesota. Coming up, we have an interesting guest this time. Cara Black is a San Francisco resident and an international author, and we'll see her in a little while. We had a chance to sit down with her a few days ago and talk with her, and she'll be joining us after a while. But Cara's not the only international author we know of, and I think it would be interesting to talk a little bit about international authors in any way, shape, or form you think that would be interesting. Who wants to start?
I just want to say one thing. You noticed in the introduction that you write an excellent series, and I just write a fine series. So I'm sort of wondering what the levels are there.
I don't think
26 programs, and now we got prima donnas. Is that the story?
Queens and princes.
You know, the truth is that I'm woefully ignorant when it comes to writers other than American writers or British writers.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not alone in that. I think most American readers are woefully ignorant.
Well, I think part of the reason is that a lot of those writers are not translated into English, and unless you can read them in the original French or the original Turkish, or there are a lot.
You know any Turkish mystery authors?
I do. You know, before
You're
I came here tonight, I looked up on the web for all of the mystery writers who write all over the world. Mm-hmm. And there are people in Poland, and there are people, all over.
Yeah, there are, but in Turkey?
Yes.
No.
There are two guys.
I'll bet there are a lot more, but we just don't know about them.
There could be,
They
yes.
haven't hit the internet.
That's all I found. I can't pronounce their names.
Well, so that poor Turkish person that you looked up will have to go nameless.
Well, yes.
Sorry about that. Well.
You know, American readers are probably familiar with a number of names. For example, Alexander McCall Smith, the First Lady's Detective Agency in Botswana.
Since you bring that up, I want to mention Dion Myers, who I've read and I think is a wonderful author. And you would like him. You guys would really like him. Heart of the Hunter, for example, it's a thriller in which the protagonist has to carry an incriminating CD all the way across Botswana on a motorcycle.
Oh, wow. Is this current?
Yeah, 2003. Yeah, it really is. So
do you know, when you think about what a small nation Botswana is, and you think about this guy, you think about Alexander McCall Smith, Michael Stanley also sets the series there in Botswana. So what's up with Botswana?
I don't know. You know, I think we have to
name a few others, because first thing you know, we'll be out of time.
Okay. I just want to say that I think we need to make a distinction about foreign books, and that is between Americans who write books set in foreign lands and between writers who are from those lands who write about
who are writing
writing about
overseas.
America,
like Peter May, who is a Scot who writes about France for some reason. I don't know why he does that.
Do you know there's a big difference there, because one group is writing in English, I'm assuming, and one group is writing in their native language, which presents then a barrier for us to know about them, because it has, as you pointed out, has to be translated. So we know Peter May because he writes in English. We probably know Donna Leone, sets her series in Italy, but she writes in English. Elizabeth George, Deborah Crombie, Americans, but they set their books in England.
Well, one of the hot ones, of course, currently is the Stieg Larsson trilogy, which was written in Swedish and has been excellently translated.
That's an issue, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, translation, and maybe if we're running out of time here, we talk about Henning Mankell on the other side, but
not well translated.
Do you know these are? What's interesting here is these are two Scandinavians, and both are achieving a great deal of popularity, but they both write very different kinds of books, and I think the translations are very different. And go ahead.
Well, I mean, I know that Henning Mankell, for instance, is enormously popular.
But you know what? You know what else?
We don't have any time.
We don't have any time.
Oh, shoot. That was too quick.
Well, you see, we're going to wrap it up now, and we'll be back in a few minutes with our guest, the author of the Amy Leduc series set in Paris, France, Cara Black. back, and I'm pleased to tell you that our guest on this program is internationally known artist, writer Cara Black, and my good friend Ellen Hart is going to introduce her. Ellen?
I will indeed. Cara Black is the author of 10 Ami Leduc mysteries, which are set.
Very good.
Thank you. Which I don't speak French. Which are set in and around the arrondissements of Paris.
I'm impressed.
I've been trying. The newest is Murder in the Palais Royal. You live in San Francisco with your husband and your son, and you're on tour, and we were lucky enough to nab you while you were here. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to get this ball rolling, and then we can all push it along.
Maybe we'll just sit and watch you do the interview.
Well, no, I have lots of questions, but I think we probably all do.
I have a few.
We'll
myself.
chime in here or there.
I have a few myself.
Okay. Well, first, what made you want to write about Paris?
I'm not French, you know, and I can't even tie my scarf the right way, and, you know, that's a gene that I don't have. But I grew up in a Francophile household. My dad was a nut about France. He loved good food and wine.
Do you?
Yes.
Are you a foodie?
I'm a foodie. I don't cook. I eat.
Okay.
I eat.
Okay.
So we have here a foodie who cooks and a foodie
Well,
who
no,
eats.
but I mean,
Good.
Ami does not cook, but
That's right.
so I wondered if there was a similarity there.
Yeah, no, you know, bistros, I think that's why they were invented, so we could go eat there. But yeah, and so he was really into France when I was growing up. And my uncle lived with us for a while, and he had studied art in Paris on the GI Bill after World War II. But he just drank a lot of red wine, really. He actually studied under Georges Braque, that kind of famous man. But the story went that that my uncle went to the atelier, you know, where they would paint the figure, I mean, draw the figure, the nude figure in the cold studio, and the woman was turning blue, this figure, because it was so cold. So he said to Monsieur Braque, please, can we put a little more charcoal on, you know, kind of like Dickens. Please, sir, can I have a little more soup? And Monsieur Braque just told my uncle to go to the top of the stairs and promptly kicked him down them. This is family lore. I don't know if this is true. It makes a good story. But I grew up in a house with these stories and this kind of talk. And I went to a French Catholic elementary school with nuns we had real French nuns who taught us archaic French. So the seed was planted, Ellen.
Okay, and so then there was a time when you were in Paris and it struck you that you had to write about it. You talk about that?
Oh, sure. Well, when I first went to Paris, you know, there was always something very elusive about it. You know, there's so much history and there's all these secrets, and, you know, and I was young and I just have to keep moving on. But in the 80s, when I went back and stayed with a friend, she took me to the Marais, which in the 80s was not as gentrified as it is now. It's quite different, and she showed me where her mother had lived during the German occupation in World War II. Sure. And her mother was a hidden Jewish girl, you know, wore a yellow star. She was 14 and came home to the apartment, and her family were gone. But she lived in this apartment for a year, not knowing, you know, if they would return. The concierge gave her the ration cards for food and coal until liberation, when she discovered through the Red Cross and through people that they had been taken to Auschwitz.